Hello, my friends. Today's video is to share a few thoughts and let you know how I am doing, as it has been 1 year since Athena and Yazhi disappeared abruptly around November 2024. Some of it I already shared in our recent tertulia with Robert, but not all of you probably watched it, so I don't mind repeating it here, and I will also add many more important points. First, many of you have been wondering how it has been for Robert and I without the ongoing communication with Athena and Yazhi. Short answer, and to speak for myself, I am okay. But to answer with more than okay, I need to explain some things. First, you should know, if you don't already, that in the past year or so, the communication with them was not very regular, quite sporadic in fact, due to them being occupied on many fronts, especially Athena assisting Mari position herself in her new role as a TAYGETAN leader, Toleka going away for maintenance and everyone moving to the new craft, with constant struggles coming from all sides, and eventually even sicknesses, in addition to many other behind-the-scenes tasks. As we have always said, you need to be very stable in order to maintain the communication of this kind, and that includes being prepared for anything at any point, even if that implies lack of that communication itself. They have always been our friends, even family, from day one. But it's been also very important for me to always have them feel that they are free, and us as well. They are extraterrestrials, after all, living in a reality distant from ours. We always had to be patient and understanding with whatever was going on. And so, if you ask if I miss the daily communication, we did not have that kind of communication for a while already, simply focused on our work, and with them touching base whenever they could. And I am referring to last year, 2024. We did not always understand if everything was all right there. I even remember asking Athena a few times about that, but she kept assuring me everything was fine, with Yazhi popping in here and there as well, so we kept going as always. Just knowing they were okay, and with them maintaining the communication open, it had to be enough. We always adapted. Also, I know not everyone will relate, and you might even misinterpret what I will say, but my nature in general is not very much wired around the feeling of missing, or not in the way most of you may experience it. I am usually fine without the constant connection with the people that matter to me, family or friends, or even my partner, especially when I know they are okay. I am nomadic, and change is my second nature. I adapt fast to new places, situations, and I am comfortable with the unknown. When I was 22, I left my Polish home and left to the US, where I lived for the next 2-3 years. I spent 3 years in Australia, 5 in Costa Rica, 9 in Spain, now over 5 in Finland, always leaving people dear to my heart behind, always going with what's next. Yes, as I already said a few months back, the first half of this year has been the worst of my life. But it was mostly due to the enormous confusion and stress related to not understanding what's going on with our team, if they were okay, why so much sudden negative energy, and above all, not knowing how to position ourselves with regards to all of you, the community. Continuing to work sharing Mari's new information, enthusiastically as we had always done, didn't feel right anymore. We felt dishonest, wanting to continue to help her, but seeing many strange things happening, and being treated so strangely at the same time by the very team, as we still thought they were at the time, we came to love and stood by unshakenly. Was it still worth standing by someone who very obviously did not stand by us, we asked? What is much worse, someone who started sharing questionable information we had no way of confirming since Athena and Yazhi were suddenly gone and in circumstances that were nothing but clean? With CIC threatening to report me to High Command for expressing I was worried for them? Remember that? Despite all that, we stood by them, and we supported the new group for about 6 months more, until we finally decided, in July this year, we couldn't anymore. The confusion about not knowing how to proceed was too much. We had to be honest with the public, regardless of consequences and whether we were correct in our conclusions or not. That was the reason of why that first half of 2025 was so bad for me. Not because of Athena and Yazhi's absence in itself. If I only had known they were okay and that everything was okay, or at least trusting the source who was conveying to us at the time that they were gone, the lack of communication wouldn't have been a problem. It never has been. We are bigger than that. Now, why am I explaining all this? Do I want to imply I do not miss Athena, Yazhi? I don't miss the amazing friendship and enriching conversations, closeness to my stellar family and team? Of course I do. And it's very important, especially for them, if they will ever listen, to understand that. But I also cannot not clarify this point about my personality. In case anyone ever assumes Gosha is unable to go on her own, unable to sustain the positive outlook, emotionally dependent on something or someone to continue. That is not who I am, and it is important for me to state that, to whoever it might matter. I will go on assisting the way I can. My own self must be enough, whenever it must be. Is it enough to carry out the work of sharing the stellar knowledge the way I have been doing so far? Transmitting Swarunian and TAYGETAN information and viewpoints? Of course not. And definitely not to the amazing detail, depth, precision, and clarity they have been doing it with. Far from it. My memory is not yet activated for that, or accessed. So doing this together with them all those years, us boots on the ground, and them sharing off-Earth perspectives, has been a magical cooperation, and it worked. I miss dearly deep metaphysical conversations with Yazhi, her sensitivity, always surprising, always challenging, Athena's sharp and level-headed insights and equilibrated personality. Our friendship with them has been simply one of a kind and something that cannot be ever replaced. Having said that, and despite missing that, in the end it is always me who carries me forward, especially now. My own essence is the nucleus of where I stand, and it is something that will always be there, unbreakable. That's where I am anchored. That's where I charge myself, tuning into the frequencies that define me. That's why I never really feel lonely or lacking, even with the absence of those I love. Solitude is not what I fear. And it is from that position that you must understand what I said previously about being okay without the communication. It is not the absence of it that is the problem in itself. The problem lies in not knowing how they are. If they are physically and mentally okay, even alive. If they are sad, suffering, threatened, trapped, manipulated, or perhaps none of the above, perhaps on the contrary. Not knowing what happened and what is happening with them, that is the core of the problem. And from the direct source, where we can know 100% that it is certain, Entertaining various possibilities and theories that arise in the community about what might have happened is very interesting, helpful, and they are being considered. However, it is not something we are used to, hearing from the team directly for the last 8 years. It is just not enough. Having said that, and despite the above, I must also share that the past months have been peaceful for me, and I am enjoying quiet, tranquil winter moments at home, just focused on my portion of work, continuing to share their knowledge and my own insights, with no turmoil around me. Something I always enjoyed doing, just sharing, creating, finding new ways to transmit, grateful for my life and what's in it. This is my only goal and passion. I am also at peace because I am truly enjoying having severed ties with the group denominating itself as TAYGETAN-CIC in the last year, which later got exposed as being run, perhaps in part or entirely, by the humans on Earth, and whose intentions were nothing but manipulative. The energy coming from that so-called CIC in some of their last communications, and from that entire group in the first half of this year, was toxic. So not having that near me now, contaminating my space, is a blessing, and allows me to regain and maintain peace. I do not wish to have anything to do with those people, or whoever got hold of this communication at the end of last year. Let that be clear. Robert and I stand by our statements we presented last July. The only thing that still bothers me, and I will be completely frank, beside wondering if they are okay, is the uncertainty regarding Yazhi and Athena's involvement, since we believe that this specific regressive human CIC, and perhaps not only human, as the humans can be organic portals to other beings, overlapped their functioning with the time Athena and Yazhi were still around. And that is November 2024 and perhaps before. Were they aware of what was happening? Did they try to intervene, stand by us? Why the deception? Unless something went on and it wasn't them anymore? Were they lured into justifications of why that was necessary? And who was the new military TAYGETAN unit that took over everything and who Athena said she didn't fully trust? Speculations are all we have, and I find them in general to be a waste of time. But something sinister definitely took place in the second half of 2024, and I can only hope no deception has ever been orchestrated against us by getting our closest friends involved on some level, because that is something that would simply make no sense at all and would obviously hurt the most. That is why, and I will be totally honest, Robert and I are of the belief that this matter simply cannot be left hanging forever. We have dedicated too much time and energy, continue to do so, to this team and cause. Always strong, loving, supportive and honest, to be simply left without explanation. And no, I am not requesting it in the face of circumstances that might be impossible for them to transcend. Their safety and health is always a priority, so is ours. And we must always understand there are protocols the ET people must abide by. We have always accepted that. But if circumstances allow, if the possibilities are there, it is my conviction and declaration that we simply deserve to know. The answers may not be what we like. I accept that. But I'm simply throwing this declaration out there to the universe itself, and to whoever out there might be listening and knows the truth. We are here, And I think we demonstrated enough integrity, transparency, and dedication throughout the years. It is time to treat us with dignity and ethics as well. We matter, as well as our community, everyone who is part of it, 3D biosuits, avatars or not. And we are not going away. It may take time to receive answers, months, years, or even decades. We are patient and not desperate, but we also know our worth. No, David Icke, I'm not, and far from it. I am not referring to our worth in terms of possessing superior intellect, memory retention, or data analysis skills. I know my limitations, and I know there are people more skilled in these areas than me. But our worth lies in who we are as people, our character, loyalty, dedication, and that's something important as well, if not more sometimes. This is not to say I expect answers just because I say so, far from it. It is to declare we perceive ourselves deserving of them, of knowing the truth, of being a match to it whenever it becomes available. It is called self-respect. What we give of ourselves shall reflect back. Many of you ask if we know why the channel that belonged to Mari has stopped transmitting videos. I will respond briefly. First, it is our belief that her channel has been tampered with, or her persona, in some way at the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. And we cannot stand by what came out of it this year, 2025, with the exception of few videos that clumped previously given information as if they were new. Hence, it is not just past few months that Mari has not been transmitting. The whole 2025 has been wonky, and who knows with whom behind the wheel. Second, we don't know why whoever has been behind the wheel this year stopped the videos. Other question I receive sometimes is whether we have received any kind of telepathic or astral communication with our friends. Short answer, no, or not as far as I know. But I did have a curious dream a month ago in which words appeared on a foggy window, and it said, "Help us," written by Yazhi and Tina. How I knew it was from them, I have no clue. I simply knew it was them. You know how the dreams are. I remember asking, "How do you want me to help you?" And unfortunately, I don't recall the answer, bugger. Except for one small detail that had something to do with the filters on their photos. I really have no idea what that could mean though. But it is curious, considering a year ago or so, Alec appeared in my dream writing the word shunya on sand. It seems there is something about written communication that is a tendency here. Not to mention that the entire communication with them has been written as well. Some of you ask whether I think the contact with the team will return. Well, assuming first they are okay and not taken over by the negative factions, which unfortunately I do believe is a high possibility, we have no way of knowing what's going to happen. I simply go with the flow, with minimum expectations, and ready for anything. Having said that, I do feel something is going to happen, that this is not the end of our adventure with the Swaruus and the TAYGETAN positive group. I do not know when it will happen, how and what, but something will. I am feeling it. However, if it's to ever happen again, or through another form of collaboration, my standards are high, meaning I am not accepting anything less than transparency and self-responsibility, within the range of what would be allowed, of course. I am a rational person and understand there are many limitations, always have, and that hasn't changed. However, I am not the innocent and enthusiastic Gosha I was when I started this 8 years ago. I value myself much more now as well. My time, peace, and energy, which I gave of myself so freely to them and this project, which of course I loved and love doing still. If you find me sounding a little bitter, more than anything, I just think the last year's shenanigans made me realize that I do not function well, nor do I desire to function under circumstances that are shady, with people whose intentions are not known, and let's be honest, not really ethical. It's just not who I am. I don't play games. I am willing to continue giving my energy, but I'd rather work alone, always, than in conditions like that, no matter what kind of ET rank you throw at me, referring to Argentinian CIC threatening to report us to high commands. My energy is needed elsewhere. But peaceful I do feel, and enjoying continuing to work on videos and ideas for the community, in whatever form they might come. In a way, the bulk of the most important information has already been seeded. And now it is also time for you, the community, to stand on your own and reach within for the knowledge shared in the last 8 years to process and become part of the collective of the human race. A lot has been given. Perhaps it is time for another phase of this TAYGETAN contact adventure. I truly cannot know. But I will share with you a vision I got a few months ago, a feeling of something truly amazing happening in the future, and that is the enormous sense of well-being, abundance, and overall sense of being alive, never experienced before. I have felt it, I will be honest, regarding my own life, but I am not sure if it's because it's something that comes with the changed sense of well-being in the world in general, or if it's something more personal. In a way though, and because we are all connected, it surely is something that many would experience as well. And let me tell you, when I first felt it, it was a sense of peace, well-being, lightness, contentment and satisfaction of the caliber never experienced earlier. Let's close on this positive note. I hope this rambling hasn't bored you much, but I felt it was important for me to close up this year sharing how I currently feel and where I stand. Let's leave 2025 behind. It wasn't an easy one. I am sending you much love and gratitude for supporting our work all these years and until this day. And if you don't, that's okay too. You deserve peace and positive future too. And my hugs, strength and love to the positive TAYGETANs, to our friends out there, if any of them are ever in position to hear this, and to any other we haven't had a chance to meet. May this upcoming 2026 treat us all well, above and below. Hugs to all.